Hey everybody, so I just got back from Magic Mountain, first day of opening in over a year. Obviously I was very excited to go. I got there right at 10 and we're going to do kind of a walk around the park, and I'll kind of talk to some of the things that I experienced during my day there. So before we get into it, just to make sure you click that subscribe button down below. We'll be more than happy to have you follow our page. Obviously now with parks reopening, we'll have a lot more stuff like this coming up. But at the top, off the top, I just wanted to say a couple things before we get into the walk around at the park. Obviously for me, my biggest concern wasn't, is this ride open or is that ride open and things like that. It was more of, do I feel safe actually being there? And the answer is undoubtedly yes. The protocols they have in place were pretty amazing as far as I was concerned. Definitely better than our experience at Touch of Disney last week. So I'll kind of get into that a little bit as we're walking through the park. But again, the COVID protocols were great. Parking opened about 10 minutes before park opening, so 10:20. But if you get there early, and if your reservation is early, they will actually park you in X2, by X2, that lot there. And I was in the park by 10:30. They are checking reservations. I saw somebody try to get in with a reservation for Sunday, and they basically said, no, you can't come in. One of the things they weren't checking, though, is IDs. So I don't know how they're doing that with the California residents thing only. That was kind of odd, I thought. But other than that, again, just really had a great day at the park. I rode quite a few things. Again, I'll kind of get into that more in the actual walkthrough video that obviously you'd rather see the park than see me, but I'll kind of talk about that. But again, 2 thumbs up from here. They do have some kinks to work out. A lot of stuff was still closed, but they are still staffing. This is the first day. I don't know. I've seen a lot of complaints on some Facebook pages and things like that. People complaining about this or that. It's the first day that the park has been open in over a year. Okay, there's gonna be kinks to work out. I mean, there's parks that have been open, in Florida for almost a year, are still working out the bugs. But overall, I was actually very impressed with the park procedures for entering, the cleaning procedures, the loading procedures, the employees, the staff. Everything was just tip top, other than a couple little, nitpicky things that, I'll kind of talk about. But, again, my biggest concern was, do I feel safe being here? Would I recommend you take your family to Magic Mountain? And the answer is undoubtedly yes. So enjoy the rest of the video, and we'll start walking around the park right now. Alright, so here we are heading into the park. The building here is actually the temperature check area. So again, completely hands-free, completely touchless. So the temperature check you go in through first. They kind of tell you to look into the camera, and then you walk through the security. Again, completely hands-free. As I mentioned in the first part of this video, instead of them actually touching your bags and rummaging through your bags like they do at Disney still, Magic Mountain has invested in these things. There's only 2 of them right now. I'm assuming they'll probably do more of them in the future, but right now they are pretty awesome. I was very impressed. So then moving into the park, you'll start to see a few things that you normally don't see. So example, there's not usually a seating area in this part of the park. So throughout the park there are some seating areas that are not normally there. But again, if you're having your water, having a snack, you need to be in the seating areas, and they were enforcing it. So as I was walking in, I got a little bit emotional. I've been going to Magic Mountain for a lot of years, and so it was kind of nice to be back, but it was a little emotional since it had been over a year. And I did head to Revolution first. Not only is it one of my favorite rides, but I figured I needed to warm up on something since I hadn't ridden anything in a year. And I did do a little bit of a video walking up to Revolution on our social media, so make sure you check that out. I then headed over to Full Throttle, and again, didn't really have any issues. You can see here the park just opened, but here they are cleaning. So lots of sanitizing bottles everywhere, signs everywhere. I brought my own hand sanitizer, but there's plenty around the park if you happen to forget. There was also a lot of regular media there today. So they were getting escorted around the park by the park's PR staff, so I got to say hi to some of the PR people I hadn't seen in a year, which is always nice. And then again, more signage here, and then you'll see the stickers on the ground, letting people know what 6 feet apart is. You'll see later on in this video, people did kind of ignore it, especially in West Coast racers. But you know, if people haven't figured out how to stand 6 feet apart from somebody after a year, then there's probably not a whole lot of hope for those people, to be honest. So, but I kept my distance, and I think people behind me, they saw that I was keeping my distance, and they were kind of doing the same. So, you know, again, not a huge issue as far as I was concerned. Obviously, I think the mask issue is probably the bigger issue as far as you know, being safe with COVID protocols. So with the rides, they were loading every other row, and they were wiping. I think they wipe down every 15 minutes. So it's not after every single cycle, but it's pretty close. But again, they only have to wipe down, you know, every other one, things like that. So no issues there. Got a nice backseat ride on Full Throttle. Heading over to Bugs Bunny World and Goliath. Again, the walkways were pretty much like this all day. Now, one of the issues I did encounter was I actually was going to do a mobile order at Wascals. So I had some issues with that. It wasn't going through. And then when I finally got the Wascals, they said that they were actually having some issues and they were waiting for IT to come out. So you know, those are the kind of things that you're going to see at a park that is just opening for the first time of the year. So you know, you're going to see those kinds of things. It's not a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. I was just able to just order there and then use my Apple Pay, you know, things like that. So again, as you can see, there are outdoor lines at the food places too, so you can see some of the distancing lines here. They've got the mobile order pickup, so I do recommend actually doing the mobile pickup once I get it fully up and running. I did have to go and do Roadrunner Express because I was wearing a Vekoma hat, so I had to actually go and ride the only Vekoma in the park. But again, here you can see a lot of signs, a lot of hand sanitizers, just overall, just really prepared. You know, all the dining areas are indicated. Had a pretty great ride on Goliath as well. Again, every other row. Then headed over to Steampunk for a ride on my favorite coaster, Twisted Colossus. Had an awesome back row ride on it. So as you can see, I think I actually had gotten lucky on this because there was no line for Twisted Colossus. I think it had maybe just opened because the other two trains were actually empty when they came back. But again, had a great ride on my favorite coaster. I'm heading over into DC Universe. Both Wonder Woman and Flash were open. Batman is apparently being repainted. So it was not open. I didn't see any new paint or anything, but it was actually closed, which is, you know, hey, new paint is good. So I took a look at Green Lantern, or what was Green Lantern. It'll be interesting to see if the new coaster for 2022 is actually called Green Lantern. But you can see a lot of stuff here. It's funny because I actually didn't see Tidal Wave at first because it was behind the building there, and I thought, oh, they got rid of Tidal Wave, but there it is. It'd be pretty surprising if they got rid of all of that station and queue area and not put it where the new ride's going to be. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's not called Green Lantern. I'm sure that building and queue will be used for something for the new ride. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. So heading into the boardwalk here, they had a lot of the games open, which I'm not a games person, so but they did have them open. But you can see here that they did have some lines there, you know, making sure that you stay away, 6 feet away. Johnny Rockets is another one of the mobile food locations, and it was working. But again, as you can see, the walkways are, you know, pretty empty. So I didn't really have any issues with that at all. Christianity was closed, which kind of makes a little bit of sense given the dynamics of the ride and things like that. So I don't know if that was intentional or if it's just not ready to open yet, but it was running during the Holiday in the Park drive-through, so it has been running. Here we have another seating area that is usually not there. So lots of places to kind of just sit and take off your mask and have some water and things like that. So kudos to the park for doing that. So I figured I'd come and take a closer look at Tidal Wave, because if the rumors are true, this ride is not long for the park. Not really a huge surprise there. Although I will say, I think the park needs more than 2 water rides. So I'm hoping with whatever they build for 2022, they maybe put in a splash battle or something like that in this area. So the park, I think the park needs more than 2 water attractions. So it'd be nice if they put something in, something small in, to let people kind of beat the heat in the summer. It was a pretty warm day too, so it got a little warm. So I did take a few mask breaks throughout the day. In the summer, it's going to be, it'll be pretty warm with masks and stuff like that. But hopefully the water rides will be opening, and I didn't ride Riddler's Revenge during my visit, just because, again, I was kind of building myself up with the rides. Again, it had been a year. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, so the 6 rides that I did ride was enough for me for my first time back. So they had a rope here outside of Tidal Wave, so you can't really get too close, where we had our updates from last year, where we were showing the markers for footers or whatever they were doing over here. So couldn't get too close, couldn't really see too much of anything as far as construction for the new attraction. They also did have a lot of the event staff like they would have for Fright Fest out, basically making sure that things are on the up and up. So I would imagine that they probably just hired some company to do some of the stuff, because again, they're still getting fully staffed. Justice League was closed. It wasn't indicated that it was going to be closed, but it definitely was. Obviously, being an indoor attraction, I wasn't really expecting it to be open. Here's another dining area where, again, there usually isn't a dining area. So again, kudos to the park for doing that. I will say probably the longest lines of the day were the food lines. They didn't have every food location open, which was probably my most disappointing thing. I mean, I don't need every place open, but trying to find a place to get some water or a drink. I wish they would have had more of the drink locations open. But other than that, not a huge deal. So like the store here that has the freestyle and stuff was not open. But again, you can see here everybody's distancing, everybody's being mindful. All the tables that are usually here are, as you can see, gone, so they can make the lines out there. So who knows when or if those will come back. I kind of like the way that this area is opened up, and then you can see they have tables back in the bar area. So I kind of like the way that area is kind of opened up now. Sadly, Gold Rusher was also closed. You can see I'm kind of heading over to get a ride on it, and it was closed. So that was probably my biggest disappointment of the day. That and Ninja being closed were probably my biggest disappointments. But like as I said, in the 3 or so hours I was there, I got to ride 6 rides. I rode Revolution, Full Throttle Goliath, Twisted Colossus, Roadrunner Express, again because I had my Vekoma hat, and West Coast Racers. So all in all, I was very happy to be back and ride a few things, and I was definitely satisfied with what I got to experience on my first day back at the park. One of the other things is I tried to come over here and get a bottle of water, and the machine ate my money. So it probably hasn't been stocked in a year. I probably should have thought twice before I did that, but I'll have to call the company and get reimbursed for that. No big deal. So heading over into the underground, West Coast Racer was definitely the longest wait that I saw. I've been seeing a lot of reports of lines being long and things shutting down and things like that today. And again, if stuff has been closed for a year, stuff hasn't been running with people for over a year, it's to be expected. you know, just roll with it. Be happy that it's open. But this was definitely the most popular area of the park. I'm sure there are a lot of people that hadn't ridden West Coast Racers until today, so was glad to finally get back on it. Obviously, I rode it quite a few times during the previews and media day and stuff like that. But it was fun to get back on it. But like I said, it was definitely the longest wait of the day. So heading back up, you can see going up the hill towards Tatsu. I was hoping to ride Ninja, but it was definitely not open, so I didn't even go up. I didn't even go up the hill. I saw Superman run a few times earlier in the day, but I hadn't seen it in a while, so I figured there was no point in actually going up the hill. Don't need to go up there and get West Coast Racers construction video or pictures anymore. So the other line that looked really long, as you can see as I ran the corner here, was Tatsu. But again, this is distance, so that's how the line would normally look. From what I saw online, they were only running one train on it. I'm not the biggest fan of Tatsu anyway, so I wasn't too disappointed that the line was a little too long. And then again, you can see the line here for Katie's Kettle. Again, social distance. So definitely do the mobile ordering. So you don't have to wait in that line. Viper was a walk-on. I didn't ride it because I kind of had already had my fill by this point. But again, you can see here they were running 2 trains. Nobody's in the line, so it would have been pretty much a walk-on. But I opted to not ride Viper today. So as I'm walking back down the hill towards the entrance to the park, I had a really great time at the park. I felt, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I felt very safe. I didn't think there was, I didn't have any issues with people other than the one group that was walking around with their mask down and smoking near Revolution. But you know, super happy to be back. They did move the exit back over here, which makes total sense. No use crossing people over. But if you want a good time at Magic Mountain, you will not be disappointed in their COVID protocols. You know, it's going to take them a few weeks to get back up to speed and get everything up and running, and you know, get the rides running. You know, well, and you get staffed. So you know, don't go expecting to have everything open, you know, right away. It's going to take a while, but you know, give them the benefit of the doubt, have fun, and make sure that you let us know what you think of the park when you go.